Bride donated bone marrow to save a stranger's baby. The child lived and walked down the aisle as her flower girl. Every single person who attended Hayden Hatfield Ryle's wedding had a hard time fighting back tears when they saw 3-year-old Sky Savrin McCormick walk down the aisle as the flower girl. Sky and Hayden share a history that spans years back to 2015 when Hayden was facing a difficult time. Hayden was confused about what she wanted to do in life and struggled to find her purpose. A year later, she received a phone call from a bone marrow center and was told there was a 1-year-old child in need of a marrow transplant and Hayden was a match. Hayden recalls, "I had started to question whether I had a purpose here. That phone call gave me a purpose." The 1-year-old child was Sky, who developed petechia, which are small purple spots that develop on the skin from broken blood vessels. The condition disappeared and eventually returned, and Sky kept getting sick. Soon after her first birthday, Sky was diagnosed with juvenile myelomonocytic leukemia, a rare form of blood cancer that occurs when bone marrow production of white blood cells becomes dysregulated. Sky was in need of a bone marrow transplant. On July 28, 2016, Hayden had some of her bone marrow extracted in Alabama. One day later, doctors in California transplanted the bone marrow into Sky's bloodstream. Sky's recovery after the procedure was filled with several complications. She developed a bacterial infection and had to have her spleen removed. She also needed a second transplant, but fortunately Hayden had donated enough bone marrow for 2 procedures. Sky ran into more hurdles when doctors diagnosed her with another form of cancer, post-transplant lymphoproliferative disease. The cancer spread to her eyelids, chest, spinal column, and the sides of her neck. Sky needed chemotherapy, and that meant she would also need another bone marrow transplant. Due to regulations on bone marrow donations, Sky would need to find a different donor. Sky's parents were able to find another donor on the Be the Match registry, and this time around they planned to use stem cells instead of bone marrow. Sky's father, Todd, affirmed that although another donor was needed, Hayden was a hero. He explains, "If Hayden hadn't donated her bone marrow, our daughter would not have made it to her other donation. She got us to a place where we could survive this." However, Hayden doesn't view herself as a hero. Instead, she believes Sky saved her. Hayden said, "It has always been the other way around. She helped me. She saved me. She's the real hero." Throughout the past year, Hayden had kept in touch with Sky by sending gifts, but they had never met in person. For Sky's 3rd birthday, Hayden sent an Elsa doll, a blanket, and an invitation to her wedding. Hayden also told Sky's parents that it would be an honor if Sky could be the flower girl in her wedding. At the time, Sky was on oxygen and fighting graft versus host disease after getting her stem cell transplant. However, as the wedding got closer, Sky was able to recover, and her parents were able to take her to Hartford, where the wedding would take place. Sky instantly recognized Hayden as she joyfully responded, "Hey, hey," Sky's nickname for Hayden, when her mom asked who the bride was. Hayden recalled meeting Sky as a fairy tale. She said, "I can't believe I'm finally meeting this little girl. It was unreal. It was magical." On the day of Hayden's wedding, Sky followed the step-step routine she had practiced to a T. All the guests watched Sky cross the church aisle with tears running down their faces. Afterwards, it was Hayden's turn to walk. Her groom Adrian was standing at the end of the aisle carrying a bouquet that had a gift from Sky and her parents. It was a locket that had Sky's picture on one side and a message on the other side that said, "This heart beats with yours." Hayden said, "I've never been able to describe our bond. I've never been able to explain it. That was the most perfect way I have ever heard it described." The newlywed also feels like she has known Sky and her parents for her whole life, and Sky's father felt the same way. He said, "It's sort of like we got a new family in Alabama, and it's been joyous."